FightShow.tv fans, welcome back to another show. I'm here with Costa, my co-host here, and we have a lot of news that we're going to bring to you. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the past UFC fight that just happened. Costa, what did you think of Minotauro, Nogueira against the natural Randy Couture?
Nogueira is back. He's solid. He looked like he used to look. You know what? We could forget about that fight with Frank Mir. He was in top form. He dominated. It was a great fight.
That's correct. And you know, you mentioned a good point with Frank Mir. Minotauro is not the type of guy who's going to make excuses, but it was well documented that Nogueira was actually very sick 1 week before the fight, and he had a lot of injuries before the fight. Yeah,
he had a big staph infection. He was hospitalized for a week, which interfered with his training camp. And of course, you saw it. He didn't look like
apparently one of his ligaments.
Yeah, he didn't look like himself, but this time he came in top form. He came 10 pounds less than he did in the Frank Mir fight.
Right.
He was more mobile, some nice punches, some good clean boxing.
And
his jiu-jitsu, of course, we don't have to talk about it. It was amazing.
And you know what I loved about the fight? People have been waiting for this fight for so long, for so many years, and sometimes you have a fight where the expectation is so high, and then when they actually meet, nothing. There's no sparks. But this fight, I have to tell you, it lived up to his expectation and much, much more. The fight was exciting from the beginning to the end. I didn't see even one round where it was actually boring. Did you?
I was on my feet the whole fight. Every time I thought he was about to finish it, he dropped Couture. He would get on top of him. Couture would always find a way to survive. You have to respect him for that.
And you know what? You know what I wanted to make one point before is that apparently, you know, when you see the fight, you'll see that Nogueira tried to put him on a lock and actually tried to submit the natural one, and it didn't happen. It's never been done, and he wanted to be the first one. He tried it 3 times.
Yeah,
and 3 times he got away from the slip.
And he had some solid. He had that choke locked in. I was like, it's over, it's over. Even if you watch the post-fight press conference, Dana White was saying, I always thought he was finished 3 times in the fight. He just kept coming back.
It was an unbelievable fight.
That's why he's the natural, though. You know what I mean? You can never count him out.
And then he would just flip over and then go back on Nogueira, and then Nogueira would go back on him. It was an unbelievable, unbelievable skills from both fighters, and I think I give respect to both fighters. I think it was
great fight, great main event, great performance.
It was great for the fans.
And if I know how Dana White thinks, I'm pretty sure after his #1 contendership, when Brock Lesnar is going to fight Shane Carwin in November, I think Minotauro is next in line.
He has to be next in line. I mean, and Brock Lesnar must be, thinking, wow, now Minotauro is really back, and maybe we're going to see that fight, and that's the fight I want to see.
That would be a great fight.
Is that what you want to see?
I'd love to see that fight.
That would be incredible. Who would win? Or you want to wait until we get there?
Let's wait till we get there. Let's see what happens against Shane Carwin. You never know what could happen.
He's a big boy. He's a strong guy.
Big puncher again. So we'll talk about it when we get closer to that. Let's talk about a few of the other big fights on that card, which were very exciting. A great card, a lot of knockouts.
Right. Thiago Silva,
Thiago Silva versus Keith Jardine. You know what? Jardine's a strong opponent. You know he has the will to survive, but Thiago
has a good chin.
And he's known for having a good chin. He's very awkward. A lot of great leg kicks.
Right.
Trains with Team Jackson, with his best friend, Evans.
Right.
And still, Thiago is a monster. Despite the loss to Machida, the knockout loss.
Yeah, but Machida is an animal in this league. 205, I don't think nobody.
He came back strong. He connected solid. Lights out for Jardine.
I was surprised because Jardine is tough, but you know what, Thiago is tough, man. And he did the job.
And like we were saying before the show, a lot of good matchups in 205. For Thiago Silva, you have a lot of big punchers, a lot of big names. It's one of the deepest divisions in the UFC.
I think it's the best division.
It is.
Until now, I think it's probably
a lot of great fighters.
One.
You have Rampage, you have Evans, you have Machida. A lot of big fights.
And the news. We just found out Randy Couture is what?
He's dropping down to 205. He has 6 fights left on his contract. You know what? A lot of big possibilities. I don't even want to think about it right now. I can't wait to see what they're going to announce. It's going to be great.
That's right. Yeah. Next fight.
And of course, let's drop down 1 category to 185 pounds. Nate Marquart versus Damian Maia. A lot of people were talking about this fight. Maia was coming off of 7 wins in the UFC, all by submission.
Incredible.
Great jiu-jitsu.
But he faced a tough one.
But Marquart is, like they say, he's the all-around fighter. He is an MMA fighter. Everything is solid. All it took was 1 overhand right. Lights out, 27 seconds into the fight.
Well, they don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to go straight to Dan Henderson with Anderson Silva? Are they going to go with Nate? Or they're actually talking about having Nate and Dan fight it off to see who's going to be fighting Silva.
You know what? Silva is a monster, but I'd love to see Marquart have another shot because Dan Henderson fought him. It's been less than a year. You know, when Marquart lost, it was 2007. He wasn't the fighter he is today. I'd like to see the Nate of today fight him and see if he could step up his game and see what the outcome would be. Because he's going to go for it. You know, he's not a tentative fighter. He's a smart fighter.
Yeah. But you see, at 205, there's so many fights you can make with Anderson Silva right now, and he only had really one fight, and he looked really amazing. And I think they should do the Marquart and the Henderson fight and find out who's going to be the number one contender.
Who's the true number one contender?
What would you do?
You know what? That's the fairest thing, honestly. Right. And you know what? That would be explosive. Henderson, Marquart, they're both big punchers. It would be a good fight.
Because they know they're going to go for the belt, and I think they're going to be even more hungry.
And they both have solid wrestling skills too, so if it goes on the ground...
FightShow.tv fans, that's what I would do, and I think Costa would do the same thing. Moving on to the next one.
Moving on, we have UFC 103 coming up.
Okay.
Main event, Vitor Belfort versus Rich Franklin.
That's an interesting fight. I love both fighters. Obviously, I've followed Vitor Belfort from the days of Pride. He was unbelievable when he was younger. He was so quick. He's still very strong. He's still quick. And I think the fight with Rich Franklin, especially after Rich Franklin just beat Vanderlei Silva, that was an interesting fight as well. I didn't think he was going to win, but Franklin
does the job. He's a solid fighter. You know, he couldn't overcome Anderson Silva, but hey, who can? And you know what? It is an interesting fight. But Vitor Belfort, especially when he was younger, the kid was a monster. His first UFC appearance, 3 wins in one night, all under 1 minute knockouts. He made Tank Abbott fall asleep, knocked him out. It was insane.
When I saw him, I said to myself, man, this guy, maybe he should go into boxing.
He's a more mature fighter now. He's in his 30s. And you know what? He still has that knockout power. I'd love to see this fight. I think it's going to be a good fight.
Who will win?
That's
the question.
I say Belfort. I want to see Belfort win.
I'm going with Vitor Belfort as well.
Me too.
I just have a gut feeling his hand speed and his boxing skills are going to actually win this fight.
I don't think it'll be easy, but I see him connecting just one of those big punches and knocking Franklin out. That's my prediction.
And you know what? I hope this fight is not going to go on the floor. I hope this fight is going to be on the stand-up.
Yeah.
And I'm going with Vitor Belfort as well. Finally, sometimes we agree, but it's cool.
Sometimes we agree, yeah. We were right about Nogueira. Let's keep the streak going. On that same card, we'll just talk about the undercard, the big Crow Cop, you know,
one of my favorite fighters,
versus Junior Dos Santos. And I think here we're going to disagree because honestly, I see Junior knocking him out. Okay. This kid is solid. 2 knockout wins, big knockout wins. He's coming up. I see him pulling the upset and knocking out Crow Cop.
Guys, I'm going to tell you something. Crow Cop, he got adjusted now to the cage the first time around. You know, a lot of those fighters that come from Pride, they don't get adjusted or they don't train enough. Their timing is off. But I think now that Crow Cop has been around for a little while in the cage, I think he's gonna come back and he wants to prove that he's the top guys in the heavyweight, and I think he's gonna win, and he's gonna win big. He's gonna win big, guys.
I don't think so. You know what? I think his best days are behind him. I was a fan of Crow Cop back in the day. He had spectacular knockouts with those head kicks, but his best days are behind him, and I think Junior is on his way up, and he will knock him out. We'll just have to wait and see.
His motivation, Crow Cop? Fedor Emelianenko, everybody's motivation, but he would love to have the rematch that he did back in Pride, and that's why I'm going with Crow Cop. He's my man, and I'm sticking to him.
All right, and that's it for our show, fans.
That's right, and you know what, guys? Don't forget, if you want to subscribe, you go to FightShow.tv, subscribe, and if you want to send us your email, you can send us your emails at info@FightShow.tv. Send your comments on your YouTube channel. We love getting your comments and basically if you agree or disagree. Until then, FightShow.tv coming back for more and more.